What's up, legends, and welcome back to my Winter of Champions tournament gameplay series. Today I have my round 4 match versus Jackguin1. And Jackguin is a very special opponent because we actually won a community 2v2 tournament earlier this year. And so playing him and knowing that one of us was going to lose this match was a little bit heartbreaking, but we had an absolute blast playing together just because we know each other so well and just we have so much comedic synergy together. So this match was just an absolute blast to play in. This was actually streamed by Poindexter G over at To The Tabletop, and I will link to the full video of the match if you would like to, I guess, dive a little deeper and watch the actual gameplay after this video. But here, as always, I'm going to give my commentary about this match, and it's going to be a little bit abbreviated, but we'll get to that later. Let's hop right into the pick ban phase. I won the die roll. I have won the die roll so far in all 4 of my matches, and I chose to be follower just because against Jack, I wanted to be a little bit more reactive with my picks. His name is Noah, but I call him Jack because I learn people's Discord names and then don't learn their real names. Jack is going to pick Drac first overall because Jack really, really likes Dracula. This is something that I kind of assumed could be a probability going into the match. And you can see the gears whirling in my mind as I figure out how to punish that Drac pick. So I'm going to pick Sherlock first as follower just because Sherlock is probably one of the best heroes in the game, especially in competitive, just because when he actually does get to play, because usually he just absorbs a ban, he has like a 65% win rate, which actually Medusa has too, but Medusa doesn't get banned nearly as often as Sherlock does, which is actually very surprising for this tournament. Jack has a couple of options of what to do here for his second pick as leader. I'm just assuming he's going to take Medusa to prevent me from getting both Sherlock and Medusa as follower, which would be just insane for me, I guess. But Yananga might be a good pick here among some others. So I think those are probably the 2 most reasonable picks just because if you're going for strength, which is what you kind of need as leader, Yananga and Medusa are both very viable options in that department. Jack's really thinking about this. I have that intense stare on my face. All the scenarios are just gone. Calculating all the possibilities, and then I just break down laughing. That is generally how this match goes. So Jackguin ends up picking Medusa as his second pick as leader, and like I said, Medusa is a very strong fighter. She and Sherlock have the highest win rates right now, I think, so picking her is an absolutely fine and understandable and predictable choice. I have a plan this match, as you can see. I guess I'm just like finalizing it in my head right now because I feel comfortable with a couple of fighters against Dracula. So you can see me smiling right now because I know I'm about to do something cheeky. So my goal this match was to just counter pick Drac and just prevent Dracula from getting a win. And it doesn't matter who else Jack has on his roster because if Drac can't get a win, he can't win the match because you need to get a win with both fighters in Conquest. So I'm going to pick Sun Wukong because Sun Wukong and Drac is not a fun game. I played that matchup on ladder with Josh Tan, actually. I was Dracula, and I had a horrible time. I'm drinking water in the video, so let's drink water in real life. So I actually have something to thank Josh for, which is beating me so bad I had confidence in the reverse side of that matchup as a nice counter pick. So Jack's thinking about what to do here. Yananga is what he ends up picking, which is actually a really good pick for him because Yananga is good into both Sherlock and Wukong. And without hesitation, I pick Beowulf because Beowulf is one of Dracula's worst matchups. So my plan right now is just deny Dracula a win because all 3 of the heroes that I picked, I think, are really good into him. And just based on his lineup, it doesn't really matter if I ban Yananga or Medusa just because I don't care if I give up a point with by letting one of them get the win, because I know that I have two. I don't want to say guaranteed because you still have to play the games, but I feel very confident in my ability to get 2 wins this match and not have Jack get his second win, because I don't think he could win with Dracula. We're going to skip ahead during this ban phase just because there's a lot of memery and deliberation, and I just want to see the final result. Who do I think he's going to ban? Probably Sherlock, just because he's the member of the big three on my team. Probably not going to ban Beowulf when he has Yananga and Medusa. And I don't know about Sun Wukong either, because again, Yananga and Medusa are good into Sun Wukong and Beowulf, but those two characters, Sun Wukong and Beowulf, are really good into Drac. So I'm not really worried about who Jack is going to ban here, just because I know that whoever he bans, I will still I'll still be able to get my wins in against Dracula. I took a sip out of the Cactus Cup. Didn't want to miss that. Behold the might of the Cactus Cup. Jack's really thinking about this, and it ends up being a classic Medusa Sherlock ban.
Surprise.
I guess not really that surprising, but
I thought Yananga was gone.
they are two members of the big three. They have some of the best win rates in the game, and it makes sense that they were going to get banned. Let's skip ahead to the map bans. So Jack has the first map ban because he is the leader, and looking at the maps, he probably wants to ban a map that is good for Sun Wukong, because Yananga probably has a very easy time beating Beowulf, because Beowulf has not a lot of defensive options. He only has 12 blocks, and Yananga will just attack him until he runs out of things to block with, and then just kill him. So he probably needs the most help with Yananga against Wukong. So he probably wants to pick a map to ban that is really good for Wukong. And I think he ends up making a smart choice, because he chooses to ban Yukon. That I think is a good Wukong map, just because with the death loop especially, you can just run away and play an exhaustion game or play keep away really well, especially with some of the zones on the side of the map. I think Sherwood is also a good Wukong map, and
I like writing things down.
The likelihood of
the Sunnydale is also a good, and the Bronze, I guess. I'm not sure. Any map with like corridors, I guess. Not Sarpedon, because of the bridges really don't count. And I think Marmorial, Sherwood, Hanging Gardens, Baskerville are all like better for your Nanga than Sun Wukong. So anyways, for my ban, I choose to ban Raptor Paddock because I am trying to play against Dracula, so I want his games to be as hard as possible. And Dracula, going first on Raptor Paddock, can Ravening Seduction the enemy hero into the pit and then pin them. And I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to ban Raptor Paddock, because that's probably one of Dracula's best maps, and I want to... I don't think... keyword there. I don't think Dracula will give my heroes problems regardless of what map he has, but I'm not going to take that chance, and I want to make it as hard as possible on him. So we're doing the blind picks for game 1. It doesn't really matter who I pick, because I know
that means we pick
if
random,
he picks
right?
Drac,
Well,
I'll just
not randomly
win with one of my fighters. And if he picks Yananga, I'll probably lose. So I want to pick the fighter that I think relies most on map for either one of these matchups. And I think that's actually Beowulf, because Sun Wukong, he can just do degenerate things, and I think all the maps available, he has like strats for them depending on who he's playing. Beowulf is going to be less flexible in that regard. I probably want to pick a small map if I'm going against Dracula, or an anti-range map if I'm going against Yanenga. So Jack's cards were still in my hand face up.
If it makes you feel better,
so he played it face up, and I saw it, and I said, well, I was probably going to pick this character anyway, so it doesn't matter. So the first game will be Beowulf versus Yanenga, which is kind of rough for me.
They're face up in
As follower, though, I will have map pick. So, like I just said, I probably want to pick an anti-range map, which, looking at the available options, probably not Sherwood, not Hanging Gardens, not Memorial.
I can't see them.
I'm too slow for Baskerville.
Surprise, surprise.
Soho is probably a little bit too big. And the Buffy maps just don't really provide a clear advantage. Although I guess if I had to pick one, I think I'd pick the bronze. So right now I'm between Hero-Rot, Sarpedon, and the bronze. And of those three options, I think Hero-Rot is actually the best because there are no tri-zone spaces like there are on Sarpedon. And it's small, so my mobility isn't really an issue. And it's actually very good against Yanenga because some of the hard zone cutoffs and the doors. The doors are very good against ranged fighters. So I'm going to think about this a little bit. We're going to skip ahead, but I've narrowed it down, and I believe Hero-Rot to be the best option. And I probably want to go first because letting Yanenga go first is probably bad. If she can attack me a couple times, depending on what my opening hand is, I could get just worn down right away to early enemy aggression. So we're going to play on Hero-Rot, and let's skip ahead to when the game actually gets set up. This portion of the video is brought to you by the 2022 Toyota Highlander, because even though I made the same joke in the Deadpool video, it's still it's still funny. Thank you to Toyota for sponsoring this mulligan. I'm not sponsored by them, by the way. That was a joke. So looking at my opening hand, I guess let's pause it and do some analysis. I'm going first. My opponent is going second. I can put Wigglytuff in a way that can almost guarantee a first turn attack if he so desires. I guess if I so desire. So what are we looking for here? We're either looking for something on offense, maybe like a Fatal Struggle. That might be a pretty good card to open up with. And I want defense cards because my biggest weakness is that I don't have a lot of blocks. So I probably want some options from the get-go. In my opening hand, I have Feint, very good against her double attacks and Archer Revive cards. The Equal of Grendel, which is just probably one of the best block cards in the game. War King, another solid option for both attack and defense. Probably going to have to save for defense in this game. Remnant of Valor, really good AoE, especially for a character with multiple sidekicks. And Vigor and Courage, which is a random discard that can help me get Rage right off the bat. So overall, I actually think this is a very strong hand, and I'm going to go with a Keep here. Very, very smart of you, Baked Goods. I think there was a previous video where I was like, I should totally ditch this hand, and then I think I kept it, or kept it, I should say.
Double key.
It's interesting when
and then you can
hindsight clues you in on something, and you realize you made a mistake, which is the whole point of watching my games back and commentating on it, is that so we can see what decisions I made, why I might have made them in the moment, and what a better option could have been. So the fact that my opponent also kept probably means he doesn't have a horrible hand. So maybe being aggressive, especially with the cards in my hand, is not the right idea right now. And I think I will probably just be double maneuvering on my first turn and getting some options. And I always have Vigor and Courage available as a pass if my opponent wants to use my initiative going first against me. So I want to kill the archers. That's probably everyone's game plan against Yanenga. And doing so probably won't be super easy depending on the way Yanenga positions, but the zones in this map mean they're a little bit tricky, especially the light blue and see sky blue on the top and bottom of the building, it can be a little bit tricky for her to fit all her fighters in while still providing some sort of like defensive positioning. So I want to use the like jankiness of this map to my advantage and catch Yenega off guard when she doesn't have archers to distribute her damage to.
That's like pushing it maybe.
So let's just skip ahead until when I actually maneuver on my first action. A lot of pre-game discussion going on, which is always great. You love some friendly banter, friendly back and forth between you and your opponent. Those are always the best kind of matches. Okay. Looks like I'm about to do something. Boy, I sure do like to talk a lot. Oh, yeah, you got to rub the hands together. Oh, got to fix the Vorpal positioning. And I draw a card. It's the other or I should say another Vigor and Courage, since I have 3 copies of that card. That is really, really good. I'm going to have Rage for days. And in this matchup, Yenenga has a ton of high boost value cards. So I'm assuming to get 2 or 3 Rage every single time I play that scheme. And just having a random discard is always nice because it just messes with your opponent. Maneuvering here, I probably want to not immediately lose Wiglaf. He is 9 health. I don't think I would block for him if Yenenga attacks him, just because she's probably going to have to soak at least 3 cards into him, unless she plays a double attack. But if she plays a double attack against Wiglaf, I think I'm very happy with that. So I'm kind of taking like the raptor positioning where I'm trying to like slowly surround my opponent while kind of being close to everything. Right now I'm kind of pinching the sides of the map, and if Yenenga wants to engage me, she'll either have to move into the center, into those red zones to attack Beowulf, or she'll have to move an archer adjacent to me to attack me, or she'll have to drop down into that blue zone to hit Wiglaf. But I think I'm fine if Wiglaf gets hit. The other card I drew from my maneuver on that turn was Hot for Battle, which is one of the best cards in the entire game, and I'll surely play that and not end up just using it as boost fodder, but we'll see.
My turn.
I confirm that this is the end of my positioning. I have to burp. I feel it, but it's not coming out. It's okay, there it is. I'm drinking water in the video. Let's drink in real life.
Which chat? Don't forget to hydrate.
Hydrate, homies.
If anyone's betting on the game, I'd love to see that.
Nice save there, Baked. So he's going to maneuver. Probably doesn't make a ton of sense to scheme right now, considering his only scheme options are One with the Land and Master of the Hunt for more actions.
I don't think so. Oh, it might
Master of the Hunt is a card I want to be very wary of, because just if Yenenga is able to attack me like 3 or 4 times in a turn, my health will go down very quickly, especially on some of those last attacks, because I just only have 12 blocks. That's like the magic number you have to monitor whenever you play against Beowulf. Really like low block characters like Dracula, Beowulf, the Raptors, InGen, it's all just a numbers game. You count how many blocks they have left, you count how many hits it's going to take to kill them, and you just have to attack them that many times. So for Jack, his goal is probably to attack me 13 times and then call it a day. And that's actually very easy if I don't feint the double attacks, because then those kind of count as 2 attacks but 1 card. It's very efficient. So he is moving again, or I should say maneuvering twice. Interesting that he's moving that archer outside of Yenenga's zone, the one that's now inside the house. Oh, if Yenenga moves into the corner, then the archer will be in her zone. But if she moves into the corner, I could kind of soft pin her by moving Beowulf here and Wiglaf here, and then Yenenga and the archer are kind of stuck there, which I don't know if I want to execute a pin. I guess if it was only on Yenenga, like in one of these corridor spaces, and I was able to get her in between Wiglaf and Beowulf, that would be, I guess, fine if I had
little tricky, but
proper defenses, but a lot of times Yanenga will probably be happy in a pin just because Stallion Charge exists to get out, Point Blank exists, and that just means she can attack me more easily, and I don't think I have the means of sustaining that for more than like a turn or two. We'll see. It will help that she is moved to and doesn't have a ton of mobility outside of Skirmish, which is also a card that I have, and Stallion Charge. Stallion Charge is probably going to be my biggest issue in terms of her mobility, but Stallion Charge deals 1 damage, which is a great way for Beowulf to get rage. And this map is small enough so that moving 5 spaces isn't horrible, because I could probably boost with something like Hot for Battle and it just wouldn't be an issue. So right now, do I want to engage or do I want to scheme and mess with her hand? Because I have Vigor and Courage, which I could just use to probably get full rage here and force Yanenga to make the first move on me. Considering that I have 4 blocks in my hand and really no good attacks, I think playing a little bit passively and making her come to me is fine, especially after this will give me more rage. So we're gonna let RNG take the wheel. We're gonna see what card gets randomly discarded. The first card.
Lucky number 1. What's behind door number 1?
That is a Stallion Charge, which I guess is good that it gives me full rage. But I probably would rather see like a shift or a skirmish or a shield formation or a revive or a double attack. It's good to get rid of that card, I guess. Just that's probably not super useful in this matchup for Yanenga, which I like how I just described, how if she's going to use that to move through Beowulf and deal him a damage, that will also give me a rage, which like that's the most efficient way for me to get rage, which I am fine with. So he's going to maneuver. He did not attack Wiglaf first action with an archer. Probably because like the most likely thing it would be probably be a pin the prey, and that's like just 1 damage on a 9 health sidekick, which is fine. Yanenga's going to maneuver next to Beowulf and make a nice choo-choo train with her archers. She's going to attack me. I have full rage, so something like War King or Grendel would be a viable option to pump. But I could also just feint in case I think it's the double attack. Could also be a shift.
No, I'm looking. I'm going through my like checklist.
Jack asked what I was looking at, and I told him I was going through my checklist because I keep some gridded paper next to me, and I write down my opponent's deck after I know who they're playing, and I keep a checklist of all the cards they've played or could have, so that during the game I just like glance down, see what their options are, because I'm a very visual person, and it's nice to not have to just remember everything in your head. So I'm playing Grendel here, which is a little interesting just because with Yanenga's archers, she can deal the damage she's going to take to them. And she's not going to take the brunt of that. But she's going to take the 3 by dealing 1 to all of her characters. And I will take 2 from the shift because she started in a different space. And I will get a rage back, which is good. So I'm celebrating here just because the last time I played Beowulf was in the Summer of Legends 2021 semifinal versus Josh Tan. And I was so nervous that I just constantly forgot to give myself rage. And it was a little embarrassing, I guess, because I'm supposed to be this mighty unmatched YouTuber that knows everything about the game, and I'm forgetting like a basic mechanic of one of my favorite characters. So we'll see. So I guess another thing I'm keeping track of in my checklist is how many cards that my opponent has to block with left, and just seeing 2 versatiles out of the gate is nice. Yanenga's deck is full of versatile, so just getting that countdown is just less things she has to block with in the future, and something like Ancient Heirloom can probably deal a little bit more damage in that sense. I drew my second Grendel, which is very nice to have that option again in my opening 9 cards. And I think I'm going to spin to win with Wiggy here and just ping that archer just to get it off the board and pressure her health a little bit more, because now she went from having 4 extra health on the board with her in her archers to just 1 in a turn. So now if I'm able to maybe play a War King as a 7 or do some other big attack that I will draw, she doesn't have any archers to offset the damage to. Notice my positioning here. I went on that monozone orange space because I want to play around Jaws of the Beast whenever possible. That can only be a 5 on this map. That was by design, as I mentioned earlier. Behold the might of the Cactus Cup. But I just want to play around giving Yananga any big attack. Behold the mighty Cactus Cup. Any big attack opportunities if I can muster it. Because she has a lot of low value cards. She doesn't really deal that much damage with her attacks. Like Shift can be a 5, Jaws can be a 5 or a 6 in some matchups. She just has quantity over quality. She has double attacks and archer revives that can be used to gain actions and attack again. She's Master of the Hunt to gain a bunch of actions and attack you multiple times per turn. So her game plan is all about wearing you down, making you run out of blocks, and then hitting you even more when you're just out of options, which Beowulf does not have a lot of options. So I play Grendel here because notice how the archer is next to Yananga, but not in her zone. So that means I can spend 2 rage and all of the damage goes onto Yananga. So that's 3 damage that she will not be able to distribute, which is a very good takeaway for me. And again, this is the same interaction that happened last turn. I'll take 2 damage from the Shift being a 5, and I will gain a rage. So I'm spending effectively 1 rage to deal Yananga 3 damage, which is a awesome takeaway for me here. I have some options now on my turn. Like I could Vigor and Courage and then play a War King for probably 7. And again, Yananga doesn't have any archers in her zone, so she's going to take all that damage. But I think I just need to play passively here because War King is one of my 12 defenses, and if I use one on offense, that's one I can't use on defense, and that could potentially hurt me down the line. I draw another Vigor and Courage, which is just awesome. I'm getting my really good cards, equal of Grendel and Vigor and Courage. I have 2 copies each. I drew 4 of them in my top 10 cards. So my card draw has been pretty good so far this game, which is nice. So Yananga is guarding now the orange and red zones. So I probably want to get out of there. Closing the door helps because now Yananga will have to maneuver on her turn and spend a point of movement opening the door. And then if she comes inside, I could do something like hiding in this yellow zone here, which would make her have to come into one of the spaces adjacent to me if she wanted to hit me. Or I guess she can move in here if she boosted. So the doors are going to work out in my favor, especially because I have cards that I can play as passes and will kind of reset the initiative and make Yananga come to me. So I'm just going to run away. I'm going to dogtail it out of there. And probably should move Wiggy there like I do so that the only place that one of Yananga's characters can attack me is adjacent, which will leave them open to counterattacks. I have drawn the Ancient Heirloom, which is my largest attack, which is really, really good for me to have because now I can do something like Vigor and Courage and then play an 8 value Ancient Heirloom, which will be kind of hard for Yananga to absorb with only 1 archer on the board at 1 health. So I'm closing the door here because now Yananga is 1 open, 2, 3, 4, 5 open, 6 spaces away. She's also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the archer is 1, 2, 3, 4 away from Wiggloff. So he's going to have to boost here if he wants to hit me, or maybe he'll play Master of the Hunt and just maneuver twice and then attack me on his 4th action. But he's going to have to use a 3 value boost, which he has a lot of, but that's a pretty expensive boost if he wants to hit me with Yanenga. He could also go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he could play a 2 value boost and be in the same zone as me. So he is going to play Master of the Hunt. So now he effectively is starting his turn with 3 actions. Oh, wait, no, he's boosting with it. Sorry.
Oh, the archer doesn't get counts?
So he boosted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now he can hit either of my characters because we're all in the same zone.
Yeah, that's legal.
Keeping the door shut, I think, helps me because he could have gone 1 open, 2, 3, 4, 5, but he went around that way. The archer still is in Yanenga's zone, which is good for him. And I think this is a good time to feint. He's attacking Beowulf, by the way. I'm pretty sure because if he was attacking Wiglaf, I just wouldn't block. An archer revive attack would be very juicy here, and that's what I'm expecting. But it's actually a double attack, which I'm still happy about because now that 2 for 1 was basically a 1 for 1. I take 1 damage and get a rage, which is the most efficient way for me to get it, which is very, very nice. That's when Yanenga's low card values actually hurt her a little bit because when I feint, basically anything in her deck besides a skirmish, I'll take 1 damage and then just get rage in the least expensive way for me. So there is a spicy play coming up that I just want to highlight. I have the I don't have it. I spoiled it. Okay. I don't really have anything good to hit her with Wiglaf here. I have Hot for Battle, but that is going into my Ancient Heirloom, and I don't have another 3 besides Working that I want to plug into that. Like I don't have another Hot for Battle or another No Contest Expected. So I want to keep this so that I can make this an 8. So I don't really have any good options to just get the attack in now with Wiglaf. I'm dancing to the Wii Sports theme song that me and Jack are singing together. What is this match? This is absolute nonsense. So I don't really want to attack with Wiglaf here. I could maneuver, see what my options are, and maybe move in and attack with Beowulf. I don't really know if I want to do that because the only attacks I have require me to spend rage, and the only defenses I have require me to spend rage, so I can't do both. This is where the spiciness happens. I drew my second copy of Spin to Win, and there's a space right here where both Yanenga and the archer are adjacent to each other, and it would deal 1 damage to the archer and kill it, and deal another damage to Yanenga. And that space is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away. So if I boosted with a 3, I could hit it. I could get there and then Spin to Win with Wiglaf if I opened the door first with Beowulf, which is what I end up doing. And just this play is so unexpected and just very, very good for me because it gets the second archer off the board and puts Yanenga down to 10 health. So I've already gotten rid of basically 9 of her health right away, and I have the health advantage by just having like 21 health total going into, I guess, this next like portion of the game. I'd say portion because Yanenga doesn't have archers, and so it's like she plays very differently than when she has sidekicks. And I'll move Beowulf into the pure orange again to play around Jaws of the Beast and to kind of give Yanenga some grief trying to come into my zone and hit me. So I hit the archer, hit Yanenga, and we are absolutely chilling. So remember when I said I was getting pretty lucky? I've drawn all 3 Vigor and Courages. I've drawn 2 Remnant of Valors that have been very helpful, and I've drawn 2 Grendels, all in my top 12 cards. So I wouldn't consider myself a really lucky person, I guess, but this game, it seems like everything is going right for me.
We could just go for it.
And if anyone asks, yes, I would rather be lucky than good. Behold the might of the Cactus Cup.
I'm guaranteed to get at least 1 archer back.
So now my opponent is kind of in little bit of a pickle. He's like soft pinned right now between Beowulf and Wiglaf, and if he wants to attack Wiglaf, that is absolutely fine with me because he is purely a meat shield. I have played the 2 cards that I wanted to get out of him. I only have 1 Hot for Battle left, and the only other cards that he's really good for using are Fatal Struggles, which I haven't drawn any yet.
1, 2.
So he's going to maneuver away from Wiglaf.
Maneuver again.
And if he stays there, I might think about pinning him, but he is not going to. And I could actually pin him right now. I could move Wiglaf 1, 2, 3, 4, and I could move Beowulf 1, 2. But like I said before, Point Blank exists, which, you know, I guess if he's going to block with that, that'd be fine if I had something like the Ancient Heirloom. And Stallion Charge exists to get out of pins, although he's already randomly discarded 1. So I have 3 schemes in my hand, which, again, these all function as passes and allow me to play very passively and make Yanninga come to me, which I think is the right idea here, considering that he's at a full hand and would have to boost to hit me if he wanted to attack me on his next turn. So I think going in and pinning him wouldn't necessarily be a good idea, considering I only have 2 blocks and he has a full hand. I could do something like Golden Drinking Horn for health and cards, but then I don't have Rage for my War Kings. So puts me in a little bit of a predicament. That means I'd probably have to take the first attack on his turn to get some Rage and then think about blocking with a War King or something. Or laughing, I'm not sure why. I end up laughing a lot in this game. I am... This is going to sound weird. Let's not phrase it like that. I was about to say, I am the funniest person I know, but that's like... #humble, you know? I'm not the funniest person I know, but to me, I make myself laugh more than anyone. And a lot of it is just stupid stuff. I just have a good time. I'm absolutely chilling. And I just, I like expressing, I just like laughing. That's what I'll say. I drew No Contest Expecteth, which is just not good in this matchup, considering her sidekicks have 2 health. And the only Beowulf blocks I have are War Kings, which I don't really want to spend right now. I want to get Beowulf, I think, into this light blue zone. So that if she wants to hit me, she has to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 1, 2, 3, open 4, 5, 6. So yeah, that's a 3-value boost to hit me, or something like a Master of the Hunt. Maneuver, just boost with something else. But I leave the door open for some reason, and I'm not exactly sure why, because I could have, I opened it with Wiglaf and put him there, and then I could have closed it with Beowulf so that she would have to boost even more to just get an attack off, and I don't, which is a mistake in retrospect. So he's going to attack Wiglaf. I don't actually have any cards that he could block with here, but I think if I had a skirmish or a feint in my hand, I probably wouldn't. Although feint might be good if he's trying to squeeze in an archer revive. But no, Wiglaf is standing on a buy zone space. So he will take 5 from the jaws, which I guess is not ideal for me, because now that means Wiglaf probably might go down in like 1 more hit if Yanninga throws something like a skirmish or a shift out. But honestly, that's just, it's 9 damage that Beowulf isn't taking, which is exactly what Wiglaf needs to do. So Jack is ending with 7 cards in his hand again, and I still have passes galore. So I'm fine maneuvering and probably playing Golden Drinking Horn here. I don't need to Vigor and Courage, because I want to save those for when I can just get like 2 or 3 Rage back immediately. And I guess being at 1 Rage is fine, especially because I just drew a skirmish, and that card doesn't depend on the amount of Rage you have to be good. So I'll get 2 health back. I'm at 14. Just I guess the health disparity was just lessened by Wiglaf tanking 5 damage, but I'm giving myself 2 back there, so it's 18 to 10 right now, which is very good. Although he still has all 5 of his Archer Revive cards left.
I haven't used passes. What's going on?
Although I don't think I let Shield Formation revive an Archer in this matchup, especially when I have cards like Hot for Battle and No Contest Expecteth in my deck that I can very happily part with as a discard. So he will have to probably maneuver boost if he wants to hit one of my characters. Beowulf is just 1, 2, 3 spaces away. Wiglaf is 1, 2, open 3, 4, 5 spaces away. And I guess she could also attack Beowulf from there if she didn't want to be adjacent to him. Grendel would be really good to have here if I drew my 3rd copy because, again, all the damage would go on Yenega. Although I guess Surprise Volley? No, because Grendel is a defensive immediately, so that would deal 3 damage to Yenega, despite the Archer coming back and being the attacker. That's an interesting interaction. So she's going to boost with a point blank. Move right up next to Beowulf.
You didn't go 1, 2, 3, 4. All of them moved.
I'm talking about nonsense right now. This was a fun match. I highly recommend going back and watching the replay on Poindexter G's channel, which I will link down below, of course. He's zigging, he's zagging, he's going the cool way. So he's attacking me. I could block with a Skirmish or a War King. That could potentially be a 3. Or I could take the attack, maybe get some rage, and then immediately attack him back with an Ancient Heirloom. I got some options here.
I'm going to choose this one.
What's the worst thing this could be? This could be a 5-value Shift, but it would be his 3rd card, or his 3rd copy of Shift, and he still has a lot of cards left in his deck. Could be a Stallion Charge, could be a Point Blank, just boosted with 1 though. And both of those cards I think would be fine as attacks because they give me 2 rage if he used the damaging effect. The Archer Revive would be bad, I guess, because I would like to feint that if possible. And there's the double attack. But if he plays the double attack, I probably don't really care about blocking one of those 3-value attacks. So I think the play is to either play the Skirmish or take it. And I think I'm going to have to take hits eventually. It's just a matter of like whose terms are they on.
Beowulf is going to do a Wiglaf.
So yeah, I'm going to take this attack. Let's see what this is.
Sounds like it was by choice.
It is a point blank, which is actually,
So I will take.
I guess, pretty good for me. I'll take 4 damage, but I'll take 2 damage twice, so I actually get 2 rage out of that interaction, which, 4 damage, that's a lot, I guess. Our heroes now have the same amount of health, but I am at full rage now, and Yenenga's right next to me. Skirmish could have been a really good option there, because I could have moved Yenenga away from Beowulf, and the damage from the adjacency wouldn't go through on point blank. So right now, what is he going to block with? Shield Formation will be good. I guess Jaws would be good against a potential big attack. Stallion Charge would be good to not allow a double attack.
Okay.
Let's see. Shield Formation actually is a little precarious because I don't really have anything good to discard besides No Contest Expecteth, but I want to put that into Ancient Heirloom. So he blocked with a Skirmish, which is a 4. I'm going to spend all 3 rage to make the value a 5 and boost it. So I'm hitting for 8. So Yenenga is taking 4. No archers to tank the damage, and I am very, very happy about that. There's only 2 copies of Skirmish in Yenenga's deck, and seeing one of them gone this early is very good for me because that's just like a solid value blocking option she has. And one of them is gone. So second action here, I could either maneuver away, or I could do something like play Vigor and Courage and just discard a card from her hand, stay right next to her, and basically dare her to attack me while I have 3 rage. I think maneuvering away is a safer play, just so that I have at least more than 3 block options. 3 being working, skirmish, and taking it, of course. And I draw my 3rd Grendel, so all 3 were basically in the top half of my deck, which is very good. So I want to play Vigor and Courage ASAP as possible, hopefully get at least 2 rage, and then Grendel will be online as a defensive option, and all that damage will go to Yanenga. She's only at 6 health, so that will really put pressure on her to... I guess it'll put pressure on her because she'll die soon. She has a lot of printed 3s, so Grendel is very good in this matchup because it'll deal Yanenga 3 damage, and I probably won't take that much damage based on just the value of Grendel blocking a lot of Yanenga's attack value. I didn't move, which is interesting from that second maneuver. And I wonder why that is.
This one? Okay.
I probably should have moved Wiglaf just one...
I do not take any...
like 1 space, and then moved Beowulf 1 space. So that if she wanted to attack again, she'd still have to move closer. But I guess staying there kind of dares her to attack me, and... I guess I want rage, so her attacking like isn't the worst thing, and she doesn't have any card draw, so pressuring her low hand count could be a good idea. Fatal Struggle exists as a card draw tool for me. I think I would play it if I drew one of those 3 copies, and Golden Drinking Horn also draws cards. I haven't really had to like... or I haven't like wanted to draw cards so far this game, just because I'm using my passes or my scheme passes that don't give me an action or draw me cards to kind of force her to take initiative. She'll like frequently start her turn with 7 cards in hand and have to basically maneuver, boost, and attack me, and I'm doing a good job of making Jack like waste a lot of resources and like forcing him to attack me. So the card draw in that sense, in that type of game plan, isn't good. But in a game state like this, where we're both at relatively small-ish hand counts, a Fatal Struggle might be good just to keep the pressure on and just help me dig for more options, especially since her health is very low. And right now, I think I kind of need to take a little bit of more initiative and try to dig for my offensive options and kill Yanenga before she gets her Archer revives off. So I use my skirmish effect from winning the combat versus Stallion charge to just move 2 spaces. So now if Yanenga wants to ping my characters, she'll have to go 1, 2, 3, and then end relatively close to one of my characters. And know that this is a movement effect, so she cannot open or close doors with it. You can only do that during maneuvers. Okay, so she's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I will get a rage, and both of my characters will take a damage.
And then you still have 1 more action left.
So I want to probably play Vigor and Courage here and get at least another rage, just so that Grendel will be online. And me saying that, I forgot that he attacked first action and still has an action. So War King might not be the worst option here, since I could make it a 3. And I'm at the point where I kind of need to not take hits because I only have a little bit more health than him, and I could go down quickly depending on some of the different attacks he could throw at me. And I do only have 3 block cards in my hand, which like seems like a lot, but against Yanenga it's really not. We're going to do something tricky here. We're not going to boost the first War King, which means I'll take 2 damage, gain a rage, and then I can play Grendel and spend 2 rage, which one that I just got, Now Yanega takes 3 damage from the volley, and I don't take any damage because of my Grendel. So having all 3 Grendels in the opening half of my deck really worked out because I dealt, 6 damage to Yanega, and then actually 7 damage to Yanega and 1 damage to each of her archers. So Grendel's dealt 9 damage total, which is very nice. I guess the problem here now is that I don't really have any good options in my hand besides probably maneuvering and playing Vigor and Courage, or just double maneuvering for a couple more options. Wiglaf is nearing the end of his days. That's all I'll say. So again, I can play a little bit defensively because I have the health lead and I have passes. Although I don't have any more Grendels, so Jack isn't really afraid of attacking me right now because he knows that I won't be able to deal him damage when I'm defending, because Feint, Skirmish, and Working all don't damage him. So in order for me to seal the deal here, probably need to either hit with a big War King over a small defense that he has, or draw my other Ancient Heirloom and the boost card that I need to plug into that and deal a bunch of damage. So we're going to discard one of his 3 cards in his hand, which it's an interesting decision just because I could have waited for him to draw a couple more options, but I just want to pressure his low hand count and potentially steal a good card he was saving. Let's see what it was. It's the second Skirmish, which only gives me 2 rage, but that's still a solid value blocking option for him. Puts me at 2 rage, so now my War King could be a 5, which could come in handy against an offensive Jaws if I don't position correctly. Behold the mighty Cactus Cup. But notice that I'm keeping Beowulf on monozone spaces, and Wiglaf, I guess he's just doing whatever because it doesn't matter. Jack's going to double maneuver here. Classic Yanega refilling her hand option. She's a couple spaces away from Wiglaf, although there's a fatal struggle. So I guess some options I have here. I could boost with something, anything but the Skirmish, and go attack her with Wiglaf with either the Skirmish or the fatal struggle. But I don't really know if I want to be that aggressive right now. I guess I'm just moving Wiglaf in to just be a menace, and Beowulf I'll move back into that sea blue zone at the bottom, because the only place that Yanega can attack me in this zone from is adjacent to me, which is very good for me. And I'm kind of soft pinning her again by kind of making a net with my fighters and slowly surrounding her. I don't know if closing the door is the right idea here, because Wiglaf is pretty close to her, so she could very easily just maneuver and attack him, and I'm probably not going to block. So,
Okay,
your turn.
I will.
Closing the door just means if she moves over here and attacks Wiglaf, now Beowulf is 4 spaces away from her, instead of just being 3 spaces away from her if the door was open. I'm drinking in the video, so I'll drink in real life. Let's hydrate, homies.
Attack Wiglaf with Yanega.
So yeah, Yanega is going to maneuver and then attack Wiglaf, so I could defend with a Skirmish or nothing at all. Pretty much everything she throws at me here kills Wiglaf. The worst case scenario is this is an Archer Revive card and I don't feint it.
I'm not going to block, but I'm going to guess that it's the Surprise Volley.
And yeah, I think it's a Surprise Volley, but it ends up being a point blank. So I think Jack was expecting me to feint it if I had a feint there. But Wiglaf will just take 4 damage and go to Valhalla like the legend he is. So Wiglaf, he took a point blank for 4, a Jaws for 5, and a Stallion Charge for 1. So he took 10 damage there. He did his job because that is damage that Beowulf did not take. Those were 2 cards that didn't get thrown at Beowulf, the point blank and the Jaws. Oh, that's pretty good. So I am 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces away from Yananga in either direction, with the door or not with the door. And I have 2 rage. So I could attack with a 5 value War King or Fatal Struggle, basically. Fatal Struggle might be good here, especially since he's out of skirmishes, and I don't know if he would have another Jaws to play, but having him draw 2 cards here would not be good. So like I really want to win the combat with Fatal Struggle, and it's always just a little risky because I could get super uber mega punished if I lose, which basically comes down to, does he have a Jaws or not? Still haven't seen any shield formations or archer revives or any archer cards, which makes sense because there's no archers. So unless he's using the archer cards as a boost, he won't be able to play them. No one with the lands either, which also makes sense because he doesn't have any archers. And that card is a lot better when you're not just healing Yananga for 1. Although at this point in the game, he's low enough where he might just play 1 if he gets 1. This is where Yananga not having any draw options really helps me, because the fastest she can dig through her deck is basically 2 cards a turn, unless she plays Master of the Hunt and then maneuvers 3 times, which, if she's using that card to draw and not to combo me to death, that's a win for me, I guess. So I'm going to move over to the door, open the door, and then I think move back, just so that I'm a little bit closer if she wants to maneuver away. Or I guess there's less spaces that I would have to move or boost in order to hit her if she's going to run. I'm assuming she'll probably run somewhere up here and close the store on her turn. I keep saying, like, I keep flipping between her and him because Jack is a man and Yananga is a woman, and I don't know, like, if I reference the player or the hero. It is weird. I just let out a big laugh. Big laugh for Wig Laugh.
Anyway, I will maneuver.
And speaking of which, I'm playing Beowulf right now. I was recently on a podcast. My lovely friends Mike and John from the Restoration Games Discord, otherwise known as Sidious256 and Tommy Elliott, they have a podcast called Defender Resolves First. They talk about a lot of different unmatched stuff. And recently, I was on their 3rd episode, where we had the first episode of the Unmatched Book Club, where me, Tommy, and Dreamcarver, another community member, all read Beowulf, and then we talked about it and how it relates to the unmatched character Beowulf, like where the inspiration for the cards come from, and a bunch of interesting stuff like that. So if you're interested in like the lore of the characters at all, or you're just interested in Beowulf, or you want to hear more of me make a fool out of myself, go check out that podcast. It's Defender Resolves First. It's on YouTube. I've linked to it in my community tab. I think twice now. It's a fun time. Back to the game, I guess.
Yeah.
Yananga did exactly what I thought she was going to do. She maneuvered up here and now is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces away, which I can't actually boost. I don't have any 4 value boosts. 1, 2, 3, 4, open 5. So I could boost with a 3, which would either be no contest or War King. I don't know if I have good attack options here. And I still have my 3rd Vigor and Courage, which could put me at 3 Rage, which would be nice for attacking with a War King or my 2nd Ancient Heirloom. I think my win condition right now is just draw Ancient Heirloom and then attack. And I think if I was feeling very bold, I would maneuver again here, overdraw and just discard 2 cards, probably 2 Fatal Struggles. Just get as close to her as possible and just like wait. Because if she wants to attack me, she'll probably have to maneuver first to get through this door. I can just feint the attack. And if it's an archer revive, that obviously won't do anything. That'll give me my 3rd rage, and then I could attack with a big War King or my Ancient Heirloom. And with only 3 health, that's pretty much a guaranteed rip for her. I am zooming in because my mouse is very sensitive. So I think that's definitely a line I could take. Just dig very aggressively. I really don't think I care about exhaustion just because I have the means of killing her before my deck runs out. I just need to find my options, but that's a little too risky for me, I think. So I don't really know if I want to boost in and hit her either. So that Vigor and Courage, even though I'm at 2 Rage, is probably what I'm going to end up doing.
Let's boost.
So I end up boosting with Fatal Struggle just so I can move
Just because I can.
more than 2 spaces, get a little bit better central positioning.
No. 1, 2,
Probably would.
3, or do we want to go?
So when I say central positioning, this yellow spot I think is the best option because it's like
We'll
very close to everything, especially with the doors. I could boost with the other Fatal Struggle on my next turn and basically reach her wherever. But instead I go over here, which in retrospect probably is just less good than going here, especially because she can maneuver, open the door, and attack me and won't be adjacent to me. Whereas if I was here, she would have to attack me from either here or here in order to not be adjacent. So I play Vigor and Courage. I randomly discard Divide and Conquer, which is not what I wanted to see. The boost value doesn't really matter because I was at 2, so I was going to get up to 3 rage guaranteed no matter what because she doesn't have any boost zeros in her deck. But just this is probably the worst card in her deck. Jack can't use it right now because he doesn't have any archers on the board, and it's just not.
Actually, if I
like his 3rd double attack, it's not an archer revive, it's not a shield formation, it's not a shift, it's not something that I actually want to see gone. Behold the might of the Cactus Cup. So yeah, this basically doesn't affect him at all because he wasn't going to play that card anyway. I'm drinking in the video, so let's drink in real life. Hydrate, homies. Nice. Water just tastes so good when you're talking for minutes on end.
I will.
So Jack has 5 cards in his hand, so he can afford to just double maneuver here and make me come to him because I have 6. So if I double maneuver on my turn, I'll be at 8 and have to discard. And the only pass left in my deck is Golden Drinking Horn, I believe.
Yeah. I will maneuver. 1, 2. And
so he's maneuvering over to the left side of the board to just get further away from me.
I'll maneuver.
And he's actually going to do something really smart with his positioning here. He's going to go to this space, which is adjacent to only dual zone or bi-zone spaces, which means Jaws of the Beast on defense will be a 5 there. So the only thing that can kill him is Ancient Heirloom, which actually would be exact lethal if I made it an 8 and he blocked with a 5. The problem is 7 cards in hand, 7 cards in deck. I don't win the 50-50. And I don't have it. So I can't kill him. But if he doesn't have a Jaws, the highest thing he could block with is a 3 since he has no more skirmishes left. So if I had a 7 value War King, that would actually kill him. So
Did you start
he has
or you already
9 cards in deck, 7 in hand. He probably has a Jaws. So I guess it's not really that risky, but I think boosting in and just attacking him is the right move. Obviously, it could win me the game. But even if he doesn't, I would still pressure him. Or I should say, if I don't win the game, I could still pressure him with a big attack here, which looks like War King is my best option because I could make that a 7. He blocks with a 5. I could either Well, I could make it a 7 and deal him 2 damage, or I could not and keep my rage just so that when I do draw my heirloom, it's guaranteed to be an 8 if possible. So obviously the fact that I'm not immediately attacking kind of gives away the fact that I don't have heirloom, or I'm just quadruple checking my math. But I think I should have just played the attack card a little bit faster so that he plays the Jaws. Because maybe he'll say, oh, he's thinking about this. He doesn't have the heirloom. I don't have to waste a Jaws on defense here. Although that probably would be a little bit silly considering that War King still is an option for me. So I guess he kind of has to block with the Jaws here. It doesn't really matter if my thinking is affecting his thinking or not. Just play the card, bro. I guess the tricky thing about blocking with War King here is that I would only be at 3 defenses. One of them would require Rage, which if I'm going to pump up the offensive War King, means that the defensive one isn't really that useful. But still, Feint is good against the things that he can throw out, especially since he doesn't have any skirmishes left, so he can't like Feint bait me in that sense and deal 2 damage over a Feint. He only has printed 3s or less. So he plays the Jaws. It's a 5. I could make it a 7. I think I choose to be conservative here and keep my rage so that when I do play heirloom, it's guaranteed. But I think actually pumping it up would be the right move here because yes, I keep the rage for my defensive War King, but if he's going to attack me and like I block first action with Feint, I'm getting some rage back anyway. I think it would have been much better to put him at 2, and then like the next War King I play would be a guaranteed kill on him.
I have exactly the
So
black cards left.
I don't like that I did that in retrospect because now he has things like Archer Revives and one with the lands to get him out of lethal range and put him back in the game.
2 Feints, 2 skirmishes, and a War King.
So those are like I think the 2 big mistakes I've made so far this game. I didn't shut the door on Wiglaf over here, and I didn't pump up that War King. I'm playing very well. I'm getting very lucky into a massively uphill battle. Tooting my own horn, I guess. But on his turn, Jack is going to play Master of the Hunt, so he has 3 actions here, which is not good for me at all because I only have 3 block cards in my hand. So like he could choose to just play the Archer Revive card for actions and just hammer me to death. He can get through some unblocked attacks. And now the game is looking a lot closer, despite me being on the verge of lethal that turn. So I'll Feint the first attack he throws out. It is the Archer Revive, which is nice.
Okay.
So I take 1 damage, don't get any rage because I'm already at max rage.
2 actions left.
He has 2 actions left.
Attack you.
He's going to attack again, of course. Skirmish is probably a good option here so that I don't have to spend a rage on War King, and I can keep that as an offensive option. Nothing he can attack with here kills me. Stallion Charge does 4. Jaws does 5. I don't think I want to take that, though. So I will defend with a skirmish. It's another Archer Revive card. This is bad because now he can get an Archer back, and he'll effectively be at 5 health. So my heirloom or War King won't kill him. He's choosing between getting an action and an Archer. He still has 1 action left after this, so he could either go to 2 actions or get 2 health back. I think health is the better option here, especially because that puts him out of lethal range for heirloom. And he might not even have the 3rd Jaws in his hand. There's a 25% chance because he has 9 in deck, 3 in hand. And there's 1 card. So the Archer comes back in my zone and is now the attacker, which actually screws up the skirmish massively because even though I won the combat, I can either move the Archer or Beowulf. And if I move Beowulf 2 spaces, I'll still be in Yanenga's zone. But the good news is I could move the Archer 2 spaces out of Yanenga's zone, which would actually put the heirloom lethal back online. But if he's getting the Archer back, he'll still have another action and can just maneuver them closer together. So
I'll put him.
This is tricky. He's going to put the archer close to Yananga, which is smart.
And I have one.
Like if we put the archer here, I'd probably just skirmish him like all the way to this side of the map. But right now what I can do, I can't get out of Yananga's zone. I can move the archer like here. And now he's not in Yananga's zone, and he'll have to maneuver on his last action to put them together to remain out of lethal.
3 cards left. 3 defenses left. Disturbance, working, and faint.
So remember at the beginning of the game where I said that 12 is Beowulf's magic number? Jack was just counting as a smart person would. I have played 9 defenses, which means I only have 3 left. So Jack's win condition, I guess, is just attack. Attack, 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 and hope that I can't block. This last double attack would be good here. And I guess he's already exhausted his like big combo turn potential by playing both Master of the Hunts and 2 Archer Revive cards, which I love using those for actions. But so his multi-attack turn is limited in potential, but it's still a possibility that I have to be aware of. I would really like to have my 3rd feint in hand if possible. And I'm at 7 cards. He's at 9 cards. So I'm a little bit ahead on the exhaustion count.
Tricky.
But like I said, I don't really expect this game to go to exhaustion because I expect one of us to die much sooner. I'm drinking water in the video, so I'll drink water in real life. Let's hydrate together, homies. God, I love water. And for those of you wondering, the cactus cup I drink out of is filled with orange juice during these games. So he's actually attacking me with his last action. This could be a shift that won't trigger because he hasn't moved. His 3rd jaws, which would be a 5. His 3rd stallion charge, which could deal 4 damage to me. And I think those are the only options since he's played all of his point blanks. Or I guess it could be another Archer Revive card or a double attack. All of those are fine, pretty much except, well, if he attacks with the jaws, I'm at 1 and then can just kill him. The archer also isn't in his zone, which is good for me. So it makes sense, actually, if this is a stallion charge, because then he can use the after combat move effect and move Yananga into the archer zone and away from me, but that's still 4 damage to me if I take it. But I can safely take this and not die.
I'm not going to defend.
Just depending on what it is, there's varying degrees of goodness. So it is the stallion charge, so I'll take 3. I won't gain a rage because I'm already at max. And I'm assuming he's going to use the movement effect to hit me because that just seems like a good idea. It's free, essentially, because I already have 3 rage, so it's not benefiting me anymore. He could just go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now he's in the archer zone, although I guess that is a little scary for him because he's 2 spaces away from me. But I'll only be at 2 health, so. The bad news is, if I had played my War King and dealt him 2 damage, I would have been at 0 rage. Then I would have gotten 1 rage from the feint into the Archer Revive card. And then I skirmished the other Archer Revive card. And now with Stallion Charge, I would have been at 2 rage for taking that and been back at 3 rage if he is pinging me with the movement effect. So in retrospect, yes, not pumping that working was not the correct play. So I will maneuver on my turn. I draw skirmish, which is good. I now have options that aren't rage related or working that will keep me alive. And looking at his block options, he still has shield formations, a jaws, a shift, I believe. And he's effectively at 5 health because of the archer. Jaws here would be a 5, so he'd be at like 10 health, and anything else would just add 3, so he would be at 8 health exactly. So if I moved in with Heirloom, I could still kill him if he didn't have Jaws. Which he only has 2 cards in hand, 9 in deck. He already played one of them on defense. The odds that one of these 2 cards are Jaws is unlikely. But the problem is, if it is, if it's like shield formation, I still don't have enough damage to kill him, and I'll have to discard a card, and I would only have 1 defense card in my hand. But I guess he would only have 1 card in his hand, so it like wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I would just have to play that skirmish on defense, and if he had the double attack, he would just kill me.
I'll go 1-2.
So I'm going to maneuver over there, double maneuver, and I draw the Ancient Heirloom. That's what I want to see. So I'm going to stay in that monozone space to avoid offensive Jaws.
I thought so too.
And I guess this means the only place I could be attacked from would be right next to me.
Were ordered was favorable for
either here or here. I'm just assuming he's going to come here because he'll just maneuver and open the door. That's a lot easier than boosting 1, 2, 3, boosting for 2. I guess he could boost for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He could use a 3 value boost and then have some shenanigans to be able to hit me from 2 spaces away. I may have made a mistake earlier in this commentary. I may have counted 6 spaces and been like, oh, he'd have to boost with a 3 in order to hit me. Not remembering that she is a move 2 character and can only move 5 spaces if she boosts for 3. I probably did that. I record these late at night. It's currently 3:15 in the morning. My brain isn't operating at full power, but whose brain is? 10%, am I right? No, that's just a myth. There's that horrible movie Lucy with Scarlett Johansson and Morgan Freeman a couple of years ago. That's like, what if we had a pill that could unlock more than 10% of our brain? Obviously, I'm not like a brain scientist or anything like that, but don't think that's how it works. And a simple Google search could probably confirm that. Let's Google it right now.
So risky.
Mr. Google! That's what one of my professors at school would used to say. Mr. Google, give us the answer. What percent of our brain do we use? The first thing that pops up. So how much of your brain do you actually use? If you've ever believed in the 10% brain myth, you might be surprised to learn that human beings use virtually every part of their brains. Moreover, over the course of an average day, humans use nearly 100% of their brains. Checkmate, science. Or I guess that's science checkmating us. Riveting stuff we're learning about here in the Baked Goods Winter of Champions tournament commentary series. Behold the might of the Cactus Cup. I got a nice little like Superman swirl going on. I'm definitely aware of that in the video. I definitely think it looks cool and don't want to fix it. The shadow makes it look weird though. You should definitely fix that, Baked Goods. I have a huge forehead, by the way, if you haven't seen, and a receding hairline. I'm aware of all these things, so if you leave a mean comment, it won't affect me.
And
think harder. Whose turn is it? It's his turn. Okay, he double maneuvered. Sorry, I realized like I kind of lost track of the game state there by going over to my phone and Googling something. I'm having a good time though. I'm smiling. I'm smiling in real life and the video. I'm looking at the whiteboard that's next to my desk because I wrote down the pick band stuff there. But having Ancient Heirloom and No Contest Expected in my hand is very useful. I can hit for 8, and I just need to get rid of his last Archer or his last Jaws. And I'll be fine.
Even without your Grandules.
Something I wasn't aware of during the match, but probably could have helped. Jackguin's, well, not helped, like I'm saying this as a joke. Jackguin's glasses are very reflective. I should have like gotten the magnifying glass out, looked at his glasses, and seen the reflection of his cards. Although I don't think it would be clear enough. I also like don't want to cheat because the game is fun. Why would I ruin it for everyone involved? I'm like looking at the glasses right now, and I like don't even think I could see the cards. Too small. I should stop giving Jackguin's future opponents ideas. I should just title this video, How to Cheat in Online Unmatched. Don't cheat. It ruins it for everyone. I'm a big fan of integrity. Integrity is like a very important core value to me. Because if you're not going to do something right, you're kind of just like a scumbag, you know? Especially in like, I don't want to say friendly, like online community like this, but the unmatched community, especially the Discord of Restoration Games, is just such a nice place. There's so many nice people. And just cheating kind of just tarnishes that whole vibe, you know? So I'm attacking with Epic Poem. My Vorpal wants to poop its pants in my time of need. I'm going to attack with Epic Poem here because the archer will be dead no matter what. If he plays Pin the Prey, he's dead, takes 4 damage, and I discard Hot for Battle. If he plays Divide and Conquer, it's only a 2. If he plays Shift, I still hit for 5 over the 3. And that's an any card. That's out of his realm of playability. It's an attack that Yenega can't use, which is very good in this matchup, I think. And it's just like a defense she can't use either. So with that archer gone, now she's back in lethal range with Ancient Heirloom because with a 5-value Jaws, she'll still be at 8. And I will have exact lethal with Heirloom. And I have both Hot for Battle and No Contest Expecteth in my hand, so I can boost for 5 and still boost the Heirloom up to an 8 with the other 3-value boost. It's a great time to have bad cards in your hand. So he maneuvered. Depending on what he wants to do, he could come in and attack me, or he could run away like he's doing there. If he has the Jaws, he probably wouldn't stay there because he knows that Heirloom is lethal. So he's gonna maneuver away, close the door, maneuver again. Go 1, 2, and this is where the smallness of Hero Rot really helps me because let's see. If I can move 5 spaces, I can go 1, 2, open 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, open 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, open 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, open 3, 4, 5. So I don't remember the spaces if I was counting correctly. I don't think there's anywhere he could have gone on the map that could have escaped me. Let's just double check. Can I hit these 2 blue spaces? 1, 2, 3, open 4, 5. I can hit that one. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I can hit that one. So he couldn't have escaped me. He has the 5-value Jaws, but I can pump this up to an 8. And that will be the game. He will be at 0 health. That was just an absolute nail biter down to the very end. Beowulf, he has the means to pull this off, obviously, like you've seen. Getting the 7 damage on Yenega with the Grendels was huge. And me also like fainting an Archer Revive and just having block cards in my hand. Like I never had to take an undefended hit because I had to. I always had the option to, which helped. The small map helped. All the passes helped versus like a character that doesn't have passes. So Yenega had to come and engage me a lot. The zones helped a lot, and the fact that the last double attack, the last Archer Revive, both one with the lands, were all in his deck. He didn't have a chance to play shield formation, so that game, basically I chalk that up to me getting relatively lucky and Jack getting the short end of the stick in that regard. So this is kind of like, not like an upset necessarily, but I was not supposed to win this matchup. Beowulf was supposed to win versus Dracula. And I guess Yanenga, like, it didn't matter if she got the win because that isn't like factored into my path to victory, I guess. So I'm going to pause it here because, and this is actually going to be the only game I talk about in this video, because game 2 is my Sun Wukong versus Jack's Yanenga. That game goes about as well as you'd expect. Yanenga is pretty favored in that matchup, and I wasn't playing super well. I didn't have the best defense draws, and I kind of went down like a sack of potatoes despite the final health looking close. I really don't think it was. So Jack wins with Yanenga, and it comes down to game 3 of Sun Wukong versus Dracula. And like I said before, that is a super frustrating matchup for Drac because you can't beast form Sun Wukong because he has Golden Chainmail and Bewilderment, and you kind of have to ambush one or two of them if you can. But again, that's a random discard, which you might not get. Or you have to bait out the ultimate defenses with Feeding Frenzies. And spoiler alert, it's very hard to do that. I think that matchup is 90% Wukong favored, which doesn't surprise me at all. And that game, I guess, in both game 2 and 3, there's not really a lot for me to commentate on because both of those matchups are relatively one-sided. I guess Yanenga versus Sun Wukong is interesting, and it would be fun to analyze my hand decisions and whatnot, but we're going to keep this video on the shorter side, and we just analyzed one very interesting game that was very close. Could have gone either way. It was a very hard matchup for Beowulf, and I say that not to toot my own horn, just because it is. You should try this matchup. I believe it's very Yanenga favored. If she has more archers, I don't get her health that low, and if I don't have the right block cards in my hand at the right time, if I don't draw all 3 of my Vigors and Courages and Vigor and Courages, all 3 of my Grendels and both of my Spin to Wins in my first half of my deck, I probably don't win that. I had a lot of things go right for me in that game. So Jackguin was an amazing opponent. I had so much fun playing him, but I move on to round 5, currently 4-0. So tune in next time. You can follow my journey. I am recording these a little bit late just because I had a busy last week, and I'm actually about to play my round 6 match, but so I'm 2 weeks late with this. Hopefully you can forgive me. I did put out 3 new videos for my first impressions of the Marvel Redemption Row set yesterday, which, that's a lot of content. Go watch it. It's entertaining. And speaking of more content, like I said, Jack and I had a ton of fun this match. A lot of memes were created and shared between us. I put a compilation together of all the funny moments. I called it Fun Matched. That will be posted along with this video so that you can get a nice summary of the immaculate vibes that Jack and I shared during our match. So that's pretty much all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the game. And as always, like, subscribe, and yeet!